Gold FM is #1 here in Sigatoka.
Gold FM is our favorite radio station here in Lautoka.
Gold FM is #1 in Nel.
I love listening to Gold FM in Ba.
We love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits here in Suva.
Hear about butter cola, you immediately think of gold. I'm Josephine Sabi and I love hearing Gold FM.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
In this bulletin, Prime Minister visits flood-affected areas in the Western Division. 4,000 small boats illegally operating in Fiji waters. An expert says Fiji can reduce its high fuel bill by using biogas. Good evening and welcome to FBC News. I'm Amrita Priyadarshini. Prime Minister Voreqe Bainimarama visited flood-affected areas in Sigatoka and Nadi today to see firsthand the damage caused by the recent floods. The natural disaster was not as devastating as the 2012 floods, with the Western Division returning to normalcy almost as soon after. Apisalome Doka reports.
Bainimarama's first stop was at the Samo Women's Resource Centre, where he spoke briefly to evacuees before heading on to Nambau Community Hall on the other side of the Samo River.
We are now discussing to relocate the village to higher grounds. We have already discussed this issue in the last flood. Military engineers will be working on it this year, and we will need to speed it up before we face another flood.
3 evacuation centres remain open after Thursday's floods, 2 in Sigatoka, 1 in Nadi. Close to 86 people are taking shelter at Nadi Muslim College. These evacuees will be relocated to ensure schools open by Monday. Bainimarama then visited Nawechikuma settlement, where some areas are still underwater. The Prime Minister was then given a briefing in Lautoka on how government departments were working to restore all services.
We just brief him that we've done everything that needs to be done. But we can't fight nature. Nature is something that we will have to live with. Nadi has to live with flood, but the people have to be proactive, which is good.
Recommendations are being made for some sort of assistance to be given to those affected.
If damage to livelihoods, we will be submitting to FNPF or the advance. PM has given his endorsement, but it will be determined by the assessment. The assessment will dictate whoever gets the approval for those assistance.
Apart from roads and bridges, there were no major damage to public utilities and, more importantly, no casualties. And people have become more resilient during natural disasters like the recent floods. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
China is awaiting word from the Fijian government for any form of assistance they need during elections. Chinese ambassador to Fiji Huang Yong says China is ready to help, but Fiji needs to at least give them some sort of indication as to what they need.
We would like to provide the assistance just according to what the Fiji government and people really need and requirement. We are discussed with Fiji government and election community, and we will decide what can we provide.
The Chinese New Year begins today, and Yong says the Year of the Horse promises to bring progress. He says China is hoping that electoral reforms will be successful for the people of Fiji. More than 4,000 small craft vessels are operating illegally on our seas. It has emerged. Maritime Safety Authority of Fiji CEO Neil Sleck says this is a serious concern as small craft vessels are involved in most accidents and deaths at sea. As such, Sleck says these small boats and their owners need to be registered and licensed for their safety and that of the public. Apisalome Doka reports.
Small craft vessel owners are warned. Get a coasting trading license and register your boat before the 5th of next month. when the Maritime Transport Decree and the Ship Registration Decree come into effect.
Everything that we're doing, a large portion of the targeting, and I don't mean in a bad way, but to enable compliance, is specifically for the smaller craft, because we know many have been operating illegally, unsurveyed and unregistered, and this is our way of enabling them to comply.
It's not the government's duty alone that we look after the safety of our people when they're travelling at sea. It is your responsibility out there, the general public travelling out to sea, to make sure that you are safe, and those operating vessels. It is important. And if you look at, I will reiterate here, for pleasure craft, if you look at the percentage of incidents happening out there in accidents, and death at sea is coming from this category. Yes. So we need to actually register this vessel so that we have a tag on vessels that are out there. When an incident or accident happens out at sea, that information is with the authority.
Come Monday, 3 survey and awareness teams will be leaving Suva for the North, East and Central Division for a mass registration drive for all small boats operating on our seas.
These teams, as I said, constituting 2 members per team, a small craft surveyor, an awareness officer, and also a registry clerk. So what this means is, in the more remote areas, these individuals will be undertaking small craft surveys and whatever support is required, and also down to even the village level.
It is a huge process. We need to take this process in stages so that we cover each areas of the Fiji Islands.
The teams will also be conducting awareness on the 2 new decrees which will come into effect on the 5th of March. Apisalome Doka, FBC News.
A biogas consultant is confident Fiji can reduce its high cost of fossil fuel imports by using biomass from animal and agricultural waste. The expert is positive that our current fossil fuel import, which costs Fiji over $1 billion a year, can be completely eliminated. Pelito Kuwasa reports.
Claims today that we have the ability to replace our billion-dollar fossil fuel bill by turning to locally produced biofuel.
I would suspect that the biomass that could be grown and could be accessed in this country would probably support an economy 5 times as big as what Fiji's economy is now.
There are only a few biogas factories in Fiji, but we have a huge potential here for this renewable source of energy.
Is a renewable resource. So, yeah, it's completely sustainable, and for this country more than most countries it's sustainable. But remember, it comes back to a few basic points. Biomass is nothing abundant amounts of.
Economist Dr. Mahendra Reddy supports Fiji's renewable energy projects, which, if successful, will ease one of Fiji's biggest imports burdens.
We need to diversify our renewable energy sources. Given that we've got a large biomass in Fiji, a lot of them, the residual is wasted. The potential to establish biogas energy source is quite great in Fiji.
Dr. Reddy says Fiji has been talking about renewable energy sources for the last 2 decades, and it's time we do something about an issue that will become a bigger burden for us if we don't find an alternative homegrown solution soon. Epeli Tukuasa, FBC News.
The Fijian woman who was found with serious burns in Western Sydney last month has died in hospital. ABC News reports 39-year-old Monica Chetty was found in bushland at West Hoxton with horrific burns to 80% of her face and body. When she was found, Chetty told police a man had thrown chemicals at her in Liverpool sometime before New Year's Eve. She was taken to hospital in a critical condition and yesterday died of her injuries. Police say she has been estranged from her husband and children for 7 years, and investigations are continuing. Still to come on FBC News, cassava farmers in Rewa benefit from new road.
Today FM is #1 here in Singatoka.
We love Today FM in Lambasa. It rocks!
My favorite station in Nandi is Today FM.
Listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks in Suva.
They love today's kid music.
I love Today FM because they play all my songs.
We love Today FM at Vuniva Lambasa. Yeah, it rocks!
I love Today FM because it rocks.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
Welcome back. You're with FBC News. The American Iguana eradication campaign has made some progress. Mika Longo reports 26 adult American iguanas have been caught and more than 1,000 eggs destroyed by islanders on Gamea between August and December last year.
Biosecurity Authority of Fiji has admitted it can't eradicate the American iguanas without the assistance of the community.
One thing that we always say is that we alone cannot do this. We need the assistance of the general public.
In December last year, biosecurity officers held talks with the communities on Gamea Island to get a feedback on their efforts in the bounty program, which was launched last August.
Due to the topography of the island in Taiwan and Gamea, people have found it a difficulty to go into those rocky mountains. And also because of the color, because the iguana, they camouflage themselves.
We currently don't have any officer based in Taiwan. In the near future, we are trying to get an officer on Taiwan.
Iguanas are herbivores and one female can produce up to 60 eggs in a breeding season. Beth is banking on its new ideas to do the magic.
We are coming up with ideas like buying kayaks just to maneuver through the mangroves, which will be done soon. The best time to hunt for them is during their breeding season.
American iguanas multiply in the month of August of every year, and for this the Biosecurity Authority of Fiji is hiring an expert to assist it in getting the exact number of iguana on the ground, and will also draw up an effective eradication program. The population of iguana was below 5,000 in the last count about 5 years ago. Mikalonga, FBC News.
The World Wildlife Fund has begun a major research in Vanuatu to gather baseline data from turtle nesting areas. As Shireen Lata reports, the research coincides with the turtle nesting period, and the data collected will be used to help protect the turtle population.
As the battle to protect turtles continues, the World Wildlife Fund for Nature WWF South Pacific is gearing up its efforts to carry out a major research program on turtle nesting. This survey is being done with the assistance of students from FNU and USP.
This past 3 years, the Daunivonu network has been our main people in the communities collecting data. They also have other responsibilities and roles to play in the village.
Laitia Tamata says over the years, thousands of turtles have been slaughtered for various reasons, including as food or for use in traditional ceremonies. He is concerned about protecting turtle stocks for the near future.
The reason why we wanted standard data from the sites is that because we wanted to determine the turtle nesting population.
16 marine science students are now observing nesting sites in Vanuatu. 3 researchers watching each site, guided and assisted by the Daunivono turtle monitors.
The survey includes gathering information like the type of nesting area, the number of nests, successful and unsuccessful hatchings, and the number of turtles sighted.
We will be sharing the information to the networks or the NGOs that have shown their support to the expedition, and then the students will also be given a chance to present their findings.
The data will also be shared with the Fiji Sea Turtle Steering Committee in formulating new laws and policies. Shireen Lata, FBC News.
A new non-cane access road is proving to be beneficial to the farming community in Navatuyamba and other villages in the interior of Rewa, who export cassava overseas. For years they have been pleading for help in the transportation of their produce to the main road for the market. Eleanor Turangoivu reports.
Going to the market to sell their produce used to be a burden for these farmers, but it was one they were willing to carry, as it is their only source of income.
If there are no animals to carry the load, we carry 100 bags of crops, sometimes on our backs from here to the main road so that we can get a carrier to take our goods to the market. All of us cassava farmers here, our cassava is taken to Navua for export. Before, there used to be horses to take the bags. Now, there is none.
Marika Nandrabuki says requests were sent to government after government for a new road, but it all fell on deaf ears.
It's been a struggle for us. especially in asking previous governments to help us in this regard. You see now, there is a road here. When this government came into power, we gave in our request and they came and built this road.
For years, the farmers have been walking through the bushes and the man-made track in order to get to the main road where they can get a carrier to transport their goods to the main export agent. Their perseverance has not gone unnoticed.
The total cost of this project is 48,000. And the profiling of agriculture and our PA staff, that the economic benefit that they gain here is more than 40,000. It's almost 100,000.
It took 6 months to complete the 2.5-mile long road and is part of the capital projects of the Commissioner Central's office. Elena Turangai View, FBC News.
Coming up on FBC Sports, Fiji Sevens now a full set in Wellington. And Athletics Fiji forms new committee.
Golnga elambasa Mbula FM number 2 na sere.
Ndo talita kana borong na Mbula FM number 2 na sere su.
Tau waitu tu gara-garaki au nreba tu ni estima au ndau talita kana borong na Mbula.
Bola bina Fiji, Mbula FM number 2 singa toka.
Bola bina era noga. Mbula FM number 2 tikoga.
Bula FM number 2 na sere.
Welcome to FBC Sports. The Fiji Sevens team had a scrimmage session in New Zealand this morning. It was a special on a few fronts as the session was held in a famous rugby league town coupled with great support. Indra Singh was at the training.
The HSBC Wellington Sevens news coverage is brought to you in conjunction with Skipper Tuna, better taste, better value, and Fiji Airways.
The local community at Wainuiomata came out in numbers today to see the Fiji team.
It's just wonderful to see them when they come, particularly locally. Wainuiomata is a small community in Wellington, and very few rugby teams come over here, and particularly for Fiji, they tend to go to the areas of Wellington that have a wider and a larger population of Fijians. So it's fantastic to see them here.
It's not every day they get to see an international team in their own backyard.
Yeah, it's always privileged to play against the Fijian international side, and you know, I bet you some of the boys would have, definitely learned something out of this session today.
The hometown of former All Black skipper and great Tana Umanga, the Fijian team was impressed with the scrimmage against the local club.
Yeah, I'm never a big fan of scrimmages just because there's no contact and the rucks and all that sort of stuff. It's a bit artificial, but the opposition were great today. Then they understood that, and we got what we wanted to out of the sessions. So still plenty of things that we need to improve upon.
Support is what every team needs, and Ryan and his men will sure get this next week from their supporters based here in New Zealand.
As soon as the team hit Wellington, that was it. The flags are through Wellington, the streets are full of Fijian t-shirts and Fiji bitter shirts, and yeah, absolutely, they've got lots of support here.
Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Meanwhile, debutant Williame Mata has arrived in New Zealand and joined up with the Fiji Sevens team. The lanky forward had his first run this morning and is all set to make his debut in the Wellington Sevens next week. Indra Singh spoke to Mata.
The new man is ready to play.
I'm very excited. First of all, I want to thank the Lord for this grateful opportunity, being called up to join the Sevens squad for this Wellington tournament.
Mata only arrived into Wellington last night and had his first taste of international training this morning.
Yeah, he's quiet, but he was good on the field, I thought. Showed some really good pace down one of the flanks. His hands were excellent. Big boy, we've only just got hold of him, so he's a talent that I hope that we can really turn into something pretty special.
The sight of this young gentle giant from Davatelevu club is sure to raise a few eyebrows in Wellington.
I was just one of the non-traveling replacement player. So I'm always just waiting. If I get a call up or no, I was just gonna have to wait. But I'm so proud I got called up by Ben to join the squad for Wellington Sevens.
He only found out on Thursday he was needed in the team and flew out on Friday, but knows too well the rugby ride will not be any easier.
My debut, just playing to make a good debut.
Mata is the only debutant in the side and is being guided by his seniors. Who knows, this could be a start of a long rugby journey starting in the Windy City next weekend. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
The Fiji Sevens team has gotten timely advice from some of the best in the build-up to the Wellington Sevens. The side, which was taken for a cross-fit training session yesterday, will be at it again next week before the start of the tournament. But experts say there could be some improvements.
Their conditioning's alright, we just need to sort out their strength work, but other than that, they've got good functional movement, just need to work on that strength work, more weights, a little bit heavier, but no, did really well.
The HSBC Wellington Sevens news coverage was brought to you in conjunction with Skipper Tuna, better taste, better value, and Fiji Airways.
A rift within Athletics Fiji's administrators is hopefully now being laid to rest. Following a special general meeting in Suva, majority of athletes and the sport's life members have thrown their support to bring back the familiar faces to form a new committee. Elena McDonald reports.
Late last year, Athletics Fiji President Albert Miller was advised by executives to step down from his post. Ironically, this decision has in the last few weeks brought the athletics community closer together.
The way that Dr. Alakija and the colleagues could have went about this, they would have called a special general meeting and basically voice their concern, and then we go from there, whatever the outcome. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case.
With all that's been going on with Athletics Fiji, one message has been made crystal clear. The sport doesn't have the luxury of time to deal with trivial issues.
The last thing we want is the athletes running and all their efforts are in vain because there's something going on in the background that really shouldn't be there. And that's what we're trying to get to. Without all those unnecessary waste of time efforts, and get back to the crux of the matter, which is track and field.
Other executives have resigned from Athletics Fiji to join the new committee.
We are moving forward, and my plea is that everybody in the country, and especially our interim committee, the so-called, is for them to respect the decision of the special general meeting.
They'll even be clearing the air with athletics' higher authorities.
We're trying to reassure our main partners, Oceania and IAF, that we've sorted it out within the means of our constitution, and that we're on the track, back on track to make sure that these type of illegal activities does not happen again in our association.
A vital lesson has been learned from this saga. Without reinventing the wheel, it's about doing all that's in their power to produce the best Fiji athletes like we've known in the past and offer them the best opportunities to compete on the world stage. Elena McDonald, FBC Sports.
Round 3 of the Fiji Sun Skipper Tuna National Football League kicked off today. Nandi currently leads Nandrunga by 2-0 as the match nears full-time at Prince Charles Park. The Nandi youths weren't so lucky. In an earlier match, they lost to the Nandrunga youth side 1-0. After a late start, the Ba-Navua clash is also underway at Govind Park. No scores yet on the board. 2 games will be played tomorrow. At 3 in the afternoon, Lautoka hosts Lambasa while Suva meets Rewa. Fine weather was the order of the day today. The Western Division, which experienced heavy rain and flooding on Thursday, had perfect fine weather today. Lambasa also had fine weather throughout the day, whereas for Savu there were some clouds by 3 p.m. Suva, on the other hand, had fine weather in the morning, and there were some thunderstorms recorded for the afternoon. Lambasa recorded the highest on the temperature chart today, hitting 33 degrees. Nandi, Lotoka and Savasavu all recorded the lowest at 30 degrees. Tomorrow there should be fine weather again in the west. There will be fine weather in Suva in the morning and some clouds again by the afternoon. Savasavu should get some showers in the afternoon. Lambasa, however, will get some cloudy periods in the morning with thunderstorms by the afternoon. And the outlook for Monday, occasional rain developing over Vanwalevu, Taviuni, Lau and Lomaiviti group. Rain gradually spreading over rest of the group later in the day. Before we leave, the top stories. Prime Minister visits flood-affected areas in the Western Division. 4,000 small boats illegally operating in Fiji waters. And experts say Fiji can reduce its high fuel bill by using biogas. To the poll question now. Did the Fiji Sevens players give their 100% at the Las Vegas tournament? Visit the FBC website to answer. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email, citizens@fbc.com.fj, or share it with us via our Facebook page, FBC News. Or if you're on Twitter, follow and tweet us your stories at FBC News or simply #FBC News. That's your news for today. I'll be back tomorrow. Good evening.
मिर्ची FM is #1 in Singapore.
और किसके सुनिए यार, हमारा एक सच्चा साथी है मिर्ची FM लंबा साथी.
I love Mirchi FM. It's so hot. देखे में लाल लाल, खाए में हाय हाय. Tangi tangi taupo में Mirchi FM is hot.
Here at Rugby Town, Singapore love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Mirchi FM is #1 in Suva. It's hot.
हम वहीं लंबासा में रहता है. तो क्या बताइए हम मिर्ची FM सुनता है.
Mirchi FM, बहुत जुलूम जुलूम.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.